Something that I've raised severally, and I'm not about to tire because you gave some direction. On 31st January this year, the Supreme Court issued a ruling to the effect that the military courts have got no jurisdiction over civilians. We have tasked government here severally, which committed to transfer those files to civilian courts, and that does not seem to be happening, Right Honourable Speaker. I raised it again, and government promised that they were ready for Thursday. I've not seen it on the order paper. I don't know what the matter could be, because there are people who are still being held in jail because of decisions of court martials which have no jurisdiction over them. We want to know, and we'll not get tired of asking this question. When is government going to transfer those files? Or has it chosen to be in contempt of court? It's important that we know, because, and you guided on that matter, Right Honourable. And finally, Right Honourable Speaker, we have processed and have been processing the ministerial policy statements. The budget committee is now handling, and the process is still on. Of course, as and when some information does come, it's good that we raise it for government to take note, because this budget process is still ongoing. Right Honourable Speaker, it has become obtrusive that government continues to use and occupy vital national installations without paying rent to landlords. And it's very worrisome. In 2013,
it is in two parts, starting with the status of the Uganda People's Defence Forces Amendment Bill. Because the Supreme Court ruling also made recommendations on the need to amend the law, and in addition, made a ruling on the need to transfer cases to civilian courts. The Uganda People's Defence Forces Amendment Bill has been drafted by the Directorate of the First Parliamentary Council and was forwarded to the Ministry of Defence and Veterans Affairs for scrutiny and comments. In the event that the Ministry of Defence and Veteran Affairs is satisfied with the contents of the bill, they will submit the bill to Cabinet for approval prior to its presentation in Parliament. It is important to note that the Uganda People's Defence Forces Amendment Bill 2024 was withdrawn by the Honourable Minister of Defence and Veteran Affairs. The law has now been revised to take into consideration issues that were raised by the Supreme Court in the case of Attorney General versus Honorable Michael A. Kabaziguruka, Constitutional Appeal number 2 of 2021. The revised bill takes into consideration the structure of the courts martial, persons subject to military law, exceptional circumstances under which a civilian may be subject to military law, arms and ammunition, which are the monopoly of the defense forces, and classified stores and appeals from the courts martial to the civilian courts. Part 2, the status on the number of cases received by the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions. You'll recall that via a letter dated 4th February 2025, the Honorable Attorney General, in his advice to, among others, the Minister of Defence and Veteran Affairs, Director of Public Prosecutions, guided that A, the General Court Martial, in liaison with the prisons authorities, should provide a list of all criminal cases involving civilians pending before the General Court Martial for onward transmission to the courts to determine the appropriate court to handle the matters. The General Court Martial should provide a list of all pending criminal cases involving members of the UPDF pending before the court martial that fall within the categories of transfer for onward transmission to the courts to determine the appropriate courts to handle the matter. And C, the Director of Public Prosecution liaises with the General Court Martial and the UPDF leadership to take over conduct of the ongoing criminal trials that have been identified for transfer. Pursuant to the advice, the Uganda Prison Authority did submit a list of 423 cases as advised by the Honorable Attorney General via a letter dated 6 February 2025 of the prisoners remanded by the courts martial. Further, we are in receipt of information that the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions has received 45 cases from the Ministry of Defense and Veteran Affairs. The Ministry of Defense and Veteran Affairs is still preparing to submit other criminal cases to the Office of the Director of Public Prosecution as advised, and we will, at the earliest, update this August House when this is done. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Rob.
Honourable Speaker, this statement has been long overdue. I am disappointed that this statement really does not capture the gist of what we were inquiring. Because, as the Minister does concede in this statement, files were meant to be transferred to civilian courts. There is no update on that in this statement, because the update there is that the Uganda Prisons Authority did submit a list of 423 cases. But there's no update on where these files submitted to the civilian courts, because that has been our question. So for Uganda Prisons to submit to whoever, whether it be to Ministry of Justice, whether it be to Ministry of Defense, or to whoever, and so on, that's a process which is not even a very big concern to us. The big concern to us is transferring these civilian cases, these files, to civilian courts. And Honourable Speaker, there is no mention of that in this statement. So it does not comfort us when the Minister says, well, Uganda Prisons submitted a list of 423 cases as advised by the Attorney General. To where? Because what we want is these files are not us. It is a decision of the Supreme Court that these files get to be submitted to civilian courts. That's what we want to hear about, and it is not captured by this statement. If anything, this statement actually creates a precarious situation which might be contradicting Article 92 of our country's constitution, which says Parliament cannot pass any law to alter the decision of a court. So I don't know if that's the intention of the Minister when he begins by telling us, well, we are working on the UPDF amendment bill. It's as if to say the concerns we are raising are going to be addressed by the bill which is going to be brought to Parliament. And that's very problematic. So, Right Honourable Speaker, I want to beseech you and insist that we get a proper update on the transfer of the civilian files to civilian courts. That's what we want to know about. Why has it taken long? When is it going to happen? This statement here is very insufficient, Right Honourable Speaker.
Thank you. Now I don't know what I will do because no, can I allow a few more? Then you felt you want to answer this one quickly. Okay, first answer this.
Mr. Speaker, sir, the Right Honourable Leader of Opposition is a lawyer. These are criminal suspects. They have to be prosecuted by the government. I hope this Parliament is persuaded that the courts martial are no longer going to be the one to try these people. I wish to state the challenges we are facing. A team of 7 was appointed to traverse various areas where the army courts are. Now, the structure of the courts martial is the General Court Martial, which sits here in Makindi. We have got the unit disciplinary committees that are in the front line. People who have been in the army, like the Honorable Sewungu, who was in the military police. No, clearly, because the military police is the one that arrests soldiers who have offended the law. So, apart from the unit disciplinary committee, we have got division courts martial. And then we have the court martial appeal court. Some of these courts are in the field. Mr. Speaker, let me share some of the challenges that we have faced and which have been reported. There are cases that had been substantially heard and the exhibits had been handed over. Now, that means the exhibits are already in the courts. They have to be retrieved. Number two, for some of the cases, the exhibits were perishable. Number three, some of the offenses were committed outside Uganda, Mr. Speaker. Some of these offenses were committed in Somalia, in DRC, South Sudan, Equatorial Guinea. These are technical challenges that we are facing. My duty was to report that so far 45 cases are with the DPP. Now, to prosecute a case you have not investigated is a challenge, Mr. Speaker. Imagine those who investigated these cases was the army. Now the DPP has to take over these cases. It is not deliberately slow, but it has got to be thorough. Lastly, the 423 cases is for the information of members to know that the files that have been handled by the courts martial and where people have been remanded in our prison services, number 423. We can even put that and juxtapose it with the overall information of the criminal justice system, Mr. Speaker. As of 12th January 2025, the criminal suspects that are undergoing trial in the whole of Uganda in 254 courts are 25,397. And criminal suspects on remand without trial are 12,893. This is for the information of Parliament. For the first time, Mr. Speaker, the number of those on remand is fewer than those on trial. This has not been the case. And we should give some credit to the courts for their efforts to balance this. Now, as a proportion of the whole population of Uganda, for those who talk as if everybody in Uganda is in jail, because when people are talking, they talk as if like 20% of Ugandans are in prison. The people in prison in Uganda are about 38,000. Every society has bad eggs. And I want to promise, Mr. Speaker, that we shall be updating Parliament. But the allegation that we are deliberately moving slowly is an allegation that government denies.
Thank you. Now, Lop raised the issue of the information being insufficient. I've seen, Honourable Minister, you have more information in your head, but which you've not yet put on paper. So kind of go update this statement, give us more information. House adjourned, sign die.